My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, again, this last week and the week before has been a very, very difficult week, not just for our brothers and sisters that are suffering as we speak, but these days have been difficult for every single one of us. And let me tell you, being Imam standing in front of people for almost 15 years, this week and the week before has been the most difficult weeks in my life. Wallahi al-Azim. And even when I stand here in front of you, talking about Islam, talking about certain things, it's just, I can't feel in my heart that it's worth talking about things that are less important when we are dealing with unprecedented issue, and that is our brothers and sisters that are being killed every single day and every single night. This has affected all of us, especially for us that have children, especially for me that I can relate, because I have been through a war, as I told you, when I was only 15 years of age. I have seen people getting killed. I have seen people getting murdered and raped and all those things, those memories and those scenes that haunt me even today. Subhanallah. There were nights that we couldn't sleep at all. When you watch certain videos of what is happening out there, doesn't matter what kind of religion, even if you don't have religion at all, just being a human being, just being someone who has family and has kids, just put yourself in their shoes. Don't ever think that this is happening far away from us. Everything that we have, Allah can test us maybe in a different way. It is very, very important, but at the same time, I want to give you an advice. A lot of people have called me in the last week that they're experiencing a lot of even mental health because of what is happening to our brothers and sisters. And I advise you and myself, I know that as hard as this is, I advise especially our sisters, mothers, because they're more emotional than we are, to watch less videos when it comes to those sensitive videos that those children are being killed. Because this is affecting every single one of us. The only thing that we should do, and we continue to do, 3 things, my dear brothers and sisters. Number 1, as I mentioned to you last week, make dua and lots of du'as every single time when you pray for yourself. Think of your brothers and sisters out there that are suffering and they're waiting for our du'as. Number 2, it is very important now more than ever to support them financially. If this week and the week before you were planning to buy a shirt and you were planning to buy something, please spare that thing for the time being and help those people in need. And number 3, also very important, is speak up when it comes to truth. Expose those oppressors, expose those murderers, that at least when we stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're able to say, oh Allah, we have done our best. One thing I can tell you as your Imam in front of you here, that wallahi, billahi, tallahi, we will win. Whether now or even after, the victory will be ours. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that mosque, that is the 3rd most important mosque, who was the first qibla of Muslims, will again belong to us, inshallah. And when we think about these things and what is happening out there, I know that seeing from far away is even harder. But let me tell you, those people of Gaza, they're 10 times stronger than we are. Wallahi. Those mothers, those fathers, those kids can put us to shame. They're standing in front of that terror, fearless. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put that bravery in their hearts. And even if Allah decrees for any of them to die, as soon as their first drop of blood touches the ground, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show their place in paradise. So we don't grieve for those people and those kids that have died because their place with Allah is better. What we grieve is for those mothers and fathers and loved ones that remained in this world, that they're the ones that will be missing their loved ones. We pray for them, for Allah to ease their pain and suffering, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Wallahi, and by the way, before I forget, last week we collected donations for our brothers and sisters, and even this week we'll continue as long as it takes to support them as much as we can. Doesn't matter how much you give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough. I told you, even organize as a family, even mention this to your children. What is happening to Muslims, that this can happen to any of us in the future as well. You see how Prophet ﷺ predicted that all these Western countries and the states, how they have become all together against Islam and Muslims. Even though, wallahi, I know in their hearts, they know that this is injustice. They know that this is oppression. And yet they stand together against us. What does this tell us? We should be ashamed because we are not united. We are not united as a community, and let alone as countries, Muslim countries. And I send a message to all those leaders out there of Muslim countries. Wallahi, those people will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those kids, and those mothers, and those women, and those fathers will stand in front of Allah and say, oh Allah, these leaders that we look up to them have done nothing to support us. Because most of them are puppies of the West. Most of them are corrupt. And that's why they can't stand up. Because they've got their files that if you do this, we're going to show who you are, who you really are. But we as Muslims, this should be an example for us to stick together, to be united. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I mentioned, especially for those that die as martyrs, as shuhada, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised them a lot of things that are waiting for them in the hereafter. We should grieve us that we remain in this world, not those people that have gone to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because our Prophet ﷺ, he said, the one who dies for the sake of Allah, those children, those people that are dying to defend their home, to defend their country, to defend the honor of their families, they die as shuhada in Islam. And Prophet ﷺ said that he is forgiven from Allah from the moment his blood is first shed. He will be shown his place in Jannah. As I told you, as soon as a drop of his blood goes and touches the ground, he will see his place in Jannah. Subhanallah, what an honor. What an honor to die that way. He will be spared the trial of the grave, and he will be secure on the day of judgment. He will be placed on his head a crown of dignity. And also, he will be permitted to intercede for 70 of his relatives. I know it's a pain to lose a child, to lose a father and mother, and for that person to die as shaheed. But subhanallah, maybe those people will intercede for Muslims around the world. Do you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment will give a quota for someone to intercede? As he mentioned some tribes in Saudi Arabia, you know their number is up to 2 million people, subhanAllah. So all we can do for them, and Allah will witness, is try to support them, to make dua for them, and to speak up for justice. Now, when it comes to what is happening in Palestine, we cannot make sense of this unless we think of the Day of Judgment. Wallahi, if there's no Day of Judgment, nothing would make sense in this world. How these people get away killing innocent children, killing innocent women, killing innocent people, and they never are brought to justice. If it's no Day of Judgment, then what's the point? Where's the justice? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the just. And we know that the Day of Judgment is coming, my dear brothers and sisters. The day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna Allah la yadhlimu mithqala dharrah. That on that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not wrong anyone, even to the extent of an atom's weight. That day is the day of justice. And you remember all those kids that were killed. The first justice that is going to happen on the Day of Judgment, you know which one? The justice of blood. Those people who shed the blood of innocent people. وَإِذَا الْمَوْقُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. When that child of Palestine, that girl, will be asked, what have you done to deserve to die that way? And all those murderers, all those oppressors will pay for their crime. This is our belief. This is a guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Prophet ﷺ said, shedding of blood will be the first matter about which judgment will be given on the day of resurrection. Shedding blood, my dear brothers and sisters, is heavier than even demolishing the Kaaba brick by brick. You see how sacred is the blood of human being. And all those people will pay. And sometimes, whether innocent people die by Hamas or, whoever, and people say, yeah, but condemn, be against those people that killed innocent children. We are against anyone that kills children. Whether it's Hamas, whether it's my father, whether it's my brother, whether it's myself, we are against. We never condone people that kill innocent children. Just asking that question is actually, I get offended. Because as Muslims, how we can support someone that is killing innocent people? We can never do that. So they're using this as an excuse. That first condemn this, and then we'll talk about the others. Subhanallah. Wallahi, my dear brothers and sisters, I told you that on the Day of Judgment, think of this day where justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be there for everyone who has been oppressed. Prophet ﷺ said in Sahih al-Bukhari, imagine you and me and those oppressors standing in front of Allah without any translator, without any middleman. And Allah will talk to everyone directly. The person will look on his right, as Prophet mentioned, will look around, nothing is there but his deeds. He will look forward, in front, nothing is there but the hellfire. Nothing is there but hellfire facing him. So Prophet ﷺ said, protect yourself from hellfire even if you give half of a date in charity. And that is a normal charity. How about supporting our brothers and sisters in Palestine? That the reward is just, we can't even think, and that is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So think of Day of Judgment, my dear brothers and sisters, and another person will appear in front of Allah, and Allah will ask him the same questions. And the third person, and the fourth person, and Allah will ask the other one, will say, where have you been? What have you done? He will look right, left, his deeds in front, Jahannam, hellfire is facing him. And this person, you know what he will say? Oh Allah, I believed in you. I believed your book and your messengers. I prayed, I fasted, and I gave charity. And he will praise Allah as much as he can. MashaAllah, till here, he said, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. He's done everything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, hold on to your tongue. Because everything what he said he has done, he has never done it. But this is what you call a hypocrite, a munafiq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask his limbs, will ask his body to testify against him. All his body, even his bones, will be asked to speak. They will speak about his bad deeds. He will know that he has no excuse. This is the hypocrite with whom Allah the Exalted will be furious. You can lie. We can lie to each other here today. We can say, I am this, I am that, I do this, I do that, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot hide. Nothing can hide, my dear brothers and sisters. And that day is coming every second. That day is coming, my dear brothers and sisters. And it is very, very important for us to reflect. And when I talk about injustice, when I talk about oppression, I don't just talk for no reason. I talk about our brothers and sisters in Palestine because I feel pain for them. But at the same time, I talk about what is happening to them so we can learn that never do injustice to anyone. Because imagine if that person raised his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no barrier, there's no hijab between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if that is against your family members, someone who is younger than you, someone who is a lot older than you, your sibling, because it's embarrassing for what is happening to our ummah today. We fight, siblings over things, worldly things, about property, about money, about all these things. We don't talk to each other. We commit justice towards one another. Subhanallah. And what do you expect? How do you expect the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we fight upon silly things of this dunya? And that's why Prophet ﷺ predicted that you're going to be a lot in numbers, but you're going to be like a foam on the river, on the sea. You see that foam, once you touch it, it's nothing there. This is how we have become as Muslims. All we think about is this dunya. All we think about is, we never even pray to go to Jannah. All we think, oh Allah, give me this, give me that, give me that. If we check our du'as, 90% of those du'as are about things in this dunya. Subhanallah. Even though our ultimate goal should be what? To go to Jannah. You see? Now is the time for every single one of us to change. If this, what is happening around the world, does not change you and me, my dear brothers and sisters, worse things will be witnessing. Now is the time for us to change on personal level, to rebuild that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to change even towards our families, to change towards the community, to do as much as we can, because that all what is counts in the end. What you have done for others, the legacy that we leave behind. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help and protect the people of Palestine, Ya Rabbal Alameen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help and protect the people of Palestine, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, ease their pain and suffering. Oh Allah, ease their pain and suffering, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, bestower of mercy, bestow your mercy upon them, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, open people's hearts to give in this time of crisis, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, help those who are in need, wherever they may be, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, make us of those who will be able to pray for them, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those who will be able to support them financially, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those who will be able to speak up and expose those oppressors, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, make us of those that will love each other only for your sake, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those that you're pleased with us in this world and the next, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those that we keep our brothers and our sisters in our du'as all the time, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those that we feed ourselves and our families halal, so our du'as can be accepted, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, make us of those that you and your Prophet is more beloved to us than even ourselves, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those that will be able to follow the sunnah of the Prophet until the day of judgment, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those that our last words in this dunya will be La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Make us of those who will be able to drink from the hawd of the Prophet on the day of judgment, Ya Rabbal Alameen. And make us of those who will be the neighbors of Prophet in Jannah, Ya Rabbal Alameen. آمين آمين. وقولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفره سيستغفر الله إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.